Understand that, Ms. Pruitt? You want to proceed to trial, but you want a new lawyer. Is that right?
That's correct. We have not spoken one time one-on-one about this case.
I think UPS is out there. I think UPS is out there. You guys out there? phone. You be careful. Oh.
You're welcome. This chair.
Now there are.
Oh, well, there you are.
So there are a lot of people here tonight, so we're gonna do an introduction. We'll start on this room. You just tell us who you are and why you're here, if you don't mind, and then we'll work our way all the way around. So.
Hey, I to see my granddaughter get an award.
My name is Lloyd Rousseau. I live here in town. About 30 years. You guys have been hiding somewhere. We got more kids coming, so. Enjoy it. This is fit. This is just about perfect. I'm going to get started.
Yeah.
Thanks for binding. Who's that? Look at grandfather.
I'm Leslie. And I'm. There's what one.
That's what I needed. I'm your granddaughter.
Okay.
Thank you.
I'm Holly. I'm Ember and Ethan and Emery's mom.
Cool. Sir?
Aaron Myers, pretty proud dad of Riley.
Mother friend here. She gets a lot of for FFA. Wait, no, FFA later.
I have tears on my
Kate for student award.
I'm Joey Guja. I'm here with the substance use drug treatment team with FESD.
Sarah Mortensen also here with the same team from the ESD. Shelby Moffett also with the ESD team.
Andy staff also SOD.
Awesome. Thank you everybody for being here. Add items to agenda. So we do need to add a presentation from SOESD on substance use disorder pilot program. And we'll do that right after community input before consent. Yeah. Good to great. Yes.
I have to go first. My good to great is I happen to be sliding through the high school hallway, just on mission. And I came across a teacher with a student who was modifying a lesson to fit with their personal needs so that they could demonstrate their competence without any obstacles. And it made me feel really good about what was going on here. That's what we're pushing for, is that differentiation. So all students.
I guess my good to great would be the things I'm hearing coming out of the wrestling team, the addition of the high school wrestling. The enthusiasm I'm hearing come from it. Nice addition.
This year's communication from teachers has been amazing. So very proud of our staff. Keeping up to date with parents.
I was glad to hear that the generator. Oh,
My good to great is just the amount of activities we have going on for students. I think like my account, we have at least 75 kids participating in extracurricular activities across the board. And that's pretty awesome.
So as you know, there's a lot of people that have a lot of pride about our campus, especially when it comes to the big trees. And so, and then we have danger trees that we've had to cut down, which has been difficult for probably everybody to see an old growth tree being cut down that's on our campus. And we had to remove the big Doug fir that's out front, and it's been sitting out there for quite some time because of the sheer mass and size of it. We couldn't get a piece of equipment that could move it to take it out. And Dale and Christy Bliss over the break committed to saw it up into big slabs, 4-inch slabs. And we're going to make a big bench and some permanent tables that will represent that tree forever here on campus, and they'll be here. They took Alaskan mill and they cut it up, and it's going to be pretty special. The cool thing about it is our CTE construction teacher, Kevin Frison, is going to, his equipment's broke down right now, but he's working on it, and he has a big enough piece of equipment to move those slabs to the shop, so they'll become kid projects, and then we'll build them in place on the campus, which will be really kind of neat. So that's going above and beyond, and they didn't want anything for it. It was just a commitment to our school district to do that for us, and so pretty excited that we have community members like that that are willing to go above and beyond.
Meanwhile, I'll tag on to Simon's wrestling along with my own. With the addition of wrestling and getting it off the ground, places in the valley have been hospitable and very helpful to us and to help us get it off the ground. There's some things people are working on and doing, and just being welcoming, cutting us a break for our small size. So the other thing, we're talking about how to get kids to eat more lunches, and I observed a class today where there was a group of 5 kids making 5 different plans to encourage their peers to eat lunch in our cafeteria. And they were all pretty solid plans. Now we'll go through the process with that, but it was just encouraging to see them take ownership of something that is important to us.
And who was our teacher?
Yes, Will.
All right.
Just between the break before we went to that, was just a program.
Mine is since the beginning of the season till now, which it is a work in progress, but slowly our high school boys are becoming more manageable and level-headed on the basketball court, and I like seeing us not get all fired up. So that's nice to see finally.
Mr. Williams, you have something for us tonight?
I do. Actually, a couple of things. One is the National FFA convention, and the kids getting to go to that. That is a remarkable step for a small school like Prospect to be able to send kids to a national convention for the Future Farmers of America, FFA. And then the other thing I have is, where's the candy? I don't see that big bag of, okay, there you go. Just making sure, just because I'm not there means, and all these kids are there, there better be somebody handing out candy. Otherwise, I'll show up there next time. Anyway, that was it for me. I got to see the pictures, and it was shared on Facebook, and it was quite remarkable in my mind to get to go. Those kids get to go to the national convention for the FFA.
Very cool. Thank you. So the high five certificates, what everybody's here for. I'm going to call a name. Ms. Jones going to give out a certificate and a piece of candy, and I'll read a little bit about each student. So first, we have pre-K student Riley Myers. So Riley, come on out. Riley is great at coloring and getting her schoolwork done with a smile.
Here, Riley. Look what I have. All right. Guess what? Pass it down. Get it to him. After we're done, if we can get a group photo of everybody in the hallway, that'd be awesome.
In second grade with Harvey Warwick. Harvey is a great mindset and is wonderful to all his classmates. In third grade with Ember Johnson. Her always have a positive attitude and give her best efforts in all she does. She's kind of supportive to you and sets a good example of what's contributing to a positive classroom environment. In fifth grade, we have Abigail Young. We constantly demonstrate the high level of academic excellence, offering mastering grade level content with ease and seeking opportunities for further challenges. He's respectful, kind, and polite. Consistently strives to produce the best. Sixth grade, Chase Warwick. And Chase reaching a positive attitude, works very hard on everything he does. And in seventh grade, Lizzie Minded. Always finds method, works hard, and has integrity.
Good job.
Yeah. In eighth grade, we have Savannah Wright. Savannah pays attention and provides critical insight, class discussions, and assignments. Ninth grade, we have Miss Thea Lehman. Thea always gets her work done without hesitation, and if she misses a day, she promptly comes to the teacher to get caught up on her assignment. She also works hard on whatever she is assigned to be partnered with, without fuss or hesitation. She is a delight to have in the class. And Mason recently attended a medical imaging job shot at Providence Hospital. She's currently in the process of applying to PY Plus college scholarship and an upcoming healthcare cohort, where she hopes to become a first aid and CPR certified and learn more about this healthcare. And in 11th grade, Macy Perkins, who's also training right now. And Macy has attended her SOCC MA program at Valley Media Care in downtown Medford 5 days a week, and spends afternoons here in Prospect upon completion of the program in 2027. She will be prepared to take the national certification exam for certified clinical medical assistants and have earned her phlebotomy certificate and her public service representative certificate. And she is on track to graduate with a new Prospect honors.
Hey, Little, come up here for a second.
Everybody,
Come on up here. Let's grab a couple of pieces of candy, or at least one. Anyways, right?
About any teachers that want to provide input. Any teachers, Ms. Wolf? Yeah, she'll come later, yeah. And then any community input, anything for the community, things that we need to know about. Okay. With that, we're going to get into the regular business part of the meeting. If you want to stay, you are more than welcome to. But if you want to leave, this will be a time we won't hold it against you. And if we go out there and take a picture, we'll come back to the presentation.
It ended up under the laptop, but.
Let's do a picture.
Yeah, yeah. Alcohol. Come on.
Let's go out.
Once you shake this,
Get a picture. All right. Good job.
This is a week.
No, we're good. Okay. All right, I am gonna do both. I am gonna really quickly grab Peyton's.
Like, do you have it?
Right.
Okay, now we're good. Now where's my Zoom? No, where's my Zoom?
Still going.
Yeah, there it is. Okay. All right. What am I sharing right now?
Yesterday.
Let's try that again.
Great.
Okay, where's the Zoom? Okay, there it is. They make this complicated. Ray, can you see the presentation?
I can, yes.
Fantastic. Okay. I am happy to play Vanna White for you guys. Just tell me when, and I will click to the next slide. Oh, shoot, did I not bring my cord? I did not.
Nick, if you guys want to take off the presentation, go for it.
So, yeah, so I just want to kind of give a little bit of background and then introduce Sandy. And she can introduce the rest of her team, even though they've introduced themselves. So, the ESD, Sandy came to me and said, hey, get this great opportunity. What do you think about this? And she kind of laid it out. And I thought, man, this might be a really good thing for our community and for our kids and our families. And so we went ahead and moved forward with this pilot program, and Sandy's been instrumental in putting together a team that can help fulfill the resources and the direction of the grant. And so without further ado, I've asked them to come and present to you tonight. And we have assembled a great team that's going to be a lot of fun to work with here for the next couple of years. So Sandy, you want to talk and introduce your team? That'd be great.
Awesome. Thank you. Yes. So hi, my name is Sandy Stock. I'm an administrator at Southern Oregon Education Service District. I support the Student Behavioral Health and Wellness team at SOESD that supports all 13 of our component school districts across Jackson, Josephine, and Klamath counties. And I'll let my team introduce themselves.
Okay, I'm Shelby Muffet. My title is School Improvement Specialist. I'm working as a project manager function in this. I come from a very long background of education, though, as a teacher and principal. So, yeah.
I'm Sarah Mortensen. I'm a school counselor, K-12, but primarily high school is my jam.
Yeah. I'm Jody Buja, a licensed professional counselor, a therapist. I've been working in the school-based system for about 12 years. I was at North Upper High School for 8 years, and I was at Road River through the ESD, and now I'm starting up this athletic program. I'm excited to do it. Very cool.
Thank you. I'm a flight.
Oh boy, I'm helping.
This is just a general description of Southern Oregon ESD. I did mention that we work with our component school districts as a partner to make sure that we're optimizing educational opportunities for all of the students across our region, including those 13 school districts. Next slide. We already introduced ourselves. Jody did not yet mention that he's also adding certification over the course of this year and next school year, adding a certified alcohol and drug counselor, so that he's able to provide integrated treatment for those and substance use. Next slide, please. So when we look at supporting students with substance use and substance misuse, a big part of the story is really taking a deep dive into what does this look like in our state and in our region. to really identify the need for these additional services for youth. Oregon is definitely in a state of emergency regarding substance use. We have more youth aged 12 through 17 that would qualify for substance use disorder than the national average, looking at about 10% of our youth in that age range that would qualify for substance use disorder. And unfortunately, about 57% of youth between 12 through 17 who need substance use treatment are not able to receive.
Those numbers are staggering.
Yeah. When we look at just our region, so in Southern Oregon, compared to across the state, we have the highest risk of hospitalization for alcohol and drug use right here across Southern Oregon. We also have the highest rates of organizations saying that they don't have the capacity to provide these services to their clients. And we have about 86% of organizations in our area saying that significant transportation and travel time is creating a barrier for their clients being able to access any substance use related services. In addition to that, our students are telling us that, hey, they need some extra help in this area. When we're looking at Jackson County compared to state averages, our students are showing us that they have higher rates of having fair to poor general emotional health, higher rates of unmet emotional and mental health needs, higher rates of drinking, using marijuana, and being easily able to obtain and use prescription drugs that are not prescribed. So SOESD a couple of years ago was really looking at these rates that are going up and trying to figure out how can we come alongside schools and community partners to really put some solutions in place to address these needs across our region. Last school year, I joined SOESD as an administrator to attempt to open an approved Oregon Recovery High School in our region. The Oregon Department of Education passed legislation a couple of years ago to fund these small schools of choice across the state. There's currently 3 of them. They're schools of choice for students with substance use disorders that are committed to recovery. And it's a really individualized educational approach that finds a balance between educational services and substance use services. We worked with community partners and stakeholders across the region to really identify where are our needs for this kind of a school. Do we have this need here in Southern Oregon, which, like we just looked at that data, we absolutely do. We submitted an application to the Oregon Department of Education last spring, and I'm happy to say that our application was the highest rated application across the state. We did receive a notice of award, which would have allowed us to open up a recovery high school in Southern Oregon. And then a few weeks later, the legislative session, just in the summer of 2025, unfortunately did not allocate appropriate funding to be able to open up our school. So we were not able to move forward with the recovery high school in our area. But really, as an organization, when we were talking about a recovery high school to help meet the needs of students, we were also talking about how do we actually embed these services across the region as well. Because that separate school might not be the best fit for every student, nor would it be accessible for every student and every family across Southern Oregon. So we really started looking at how do we bring these services to where students are and have it accessible when they need it. We started talking to state agencies that are also doing this kind of work, and we have actually received some funding to support this work over the next 2 years, working with the Oregon Alcohol and Drug Policy Commission and Youth Development Oregon. With that partnership and collaboration with the Oregon Health Authority and ODE, we're able to go into our school communities who have a need for this service and really embed these services and provide them to students. On the next couple of slides, Jody and Sarah are going to walk us through what some of those services are that are going to be available to high school students here at Prospect.
Yeah. So I'm going to be working strictly in the substance use treatment wing. She's going to talk a little bit about the re-engagement and some of those performance, but I'm providing comprehensive integrated treatment, which those words are really buzzy, but all they mean, integrated, means that I can treat behavioral health and substance use disorders at the same time, which oftentimes, especially in Oregon, we have kind of drawn a line between those two things. Oftentimes people will also have like a mental health therapist and a substance use treatment therapist. And things get lost in translation there. Plus, sometimes go to two different meetings, and you know what I mean? So we're trying to, in Oregon in general, ADPC is really pushing for integrated treatment to be the norm across the state. So being evidence-based, obviously what I fall back on and the theoretical orientation I use to treat students has large evidence base that they're able to track their progress. There's low barriers. I mean, the biggest one is there is no cost. And the second biggest one is we're trying to come to you guys. So if we're here at school, it's way different. I'm sure here at Prospect, you guys got Eagle Point and Medford, like the two places I feel like maybe Shady Cove to go and get something, especially a service like this. Maybe Medford's the only hub to get mental health supports. It's either that or talk to someone on a laptop, which took a big jump in COVID, but we found that outcomes from especially therapeutic treatment just don't have the same thing as sitting in a room with warm blood talking about what's going on. The change is much different. I'm really passionate about, hey, let's not just look at the only solution being talking to your laptop. Yeah, and then we also want to the partnership is all about us partnering with in school districts and you guys. Like, you know what your students need more than I do from a real broad level. I know how to treat them individually once they're in my door, but how we make that happen, the best way to get a hold of them, you are the best resource. So we want to partner with you guys to say, hey, how do we make sure we build the trust and relationships so the kids know who we are, not just some random face on campus? How do we make sure we're getting the right referral sources to come in ready and knowing what they're getting? So we really want to be educated by you guys on how to do that best here. Next slide, please. And then, yeah, we'll talk about re-engagement. Sarah will take over for that.
Yeah, so there's kind of a couple pieces. So Jody will be working with students that qualify more on the higher level substance use disorder. And I'll be working with students who are not quite to that level, but I'll be utilizing brief interventions, so some shorter term, very individualized collaborative planning with them. And then this other kind of prong to it is a re-engagement, which we know that students who are using substances are more at risk, right, for disengaging in school. And so some of those students that are participating in those services may also be utilizing the re-engagement services, but these also can be for students who are not within the substance use component. So re-engagement is going to be those students who are at risk of disengaging or who are already disengaged. And they might be a 10-day drop. We'll talk a little bit more about kind of how does a student qualify for this type of program. But the big parts of it are obviously personalized, collaborative. It's very, very individualized planning with the student, because whatever kind of was going on before potentially isn't working now. And so what can we do either here at school or even through some post-high school or like connecting with a GED program. So there's a lot of choices and individualization in that. Along with looking at like the high school diploma completion or GED completion is heavy on post-secondary planning. So getting them connected to what comes after here as well, identifying those goals and just breaking down the barriers with them or for them sometimes to make sure that they can take those next steps as well.
So yeah, how kids get into our door. I mean, I was saying you guys can help us hopefully with that, educate us on the best way to do it from your community here. But the way generally it goes, right, it's gonna be referral through staff or family members. We're gonna have this family engagement night that's gonna come up to try and get the community also just knowing what we are and feeling like we're approachable and not just, because currently we are outsiders from ESD coming in. So over the course of this next school year and following year, we don't want it to be that way. We want to feel like we're embedded here and that we're approachable. The second one is self-referral. For high schoolers, especially the substance treatment is specifically for high school students, 14 and above. They can refer themselves and fill out their form, and they have their own confidentiality rights to do so, not just for mental health care, but medical care, so they can do it themselves. And then we're going to be doing some screenings, specifically with 11th grade levels, because we're doing pilot. We want to start small, make sure we do everything the right way. So we're going to be identifying through screening and then following up with students individually if they meet the markers for being at least a substance misuse. So Yeah, and then with re-engagement.
Yeah, and then re-engagement, I've already kind of started working with administrators on this, but that's going to be through admin referral. And then there's also lots of the data reviews. I'll be joining some of the Thursday meetings that I've learned about, and working with staff members on kind of who are those students that are showing some of those at-risk signs. And then there are also some specific community partners that can refer to us, whether it be juvenile justice or various places like that.
So these are a list of our expected outcomes. We'll just read them to you, but we kind of talked about them as going through this. We really want to address, as Danny was explaining in those statistics up front, that gap between the number of kids who need a service, the number who don't, 57%, you know, it's worse than a coin flip. If someone needs substance treatment, where are they going to receive it from a licensed clinician, right? Which doesn't involve you getting to a farm once a week to drive to med. I guess it's not realistic. I imagine for a lot of families. So how do we meet that here and build the strong partnerships so we do so? And over time, we're doing less of the post-vention, like us responding to that, and a lot more of the prevention. Like, let's make sure we're meeting the need before it elevates to the point in which someone really needs help. Even deal with the disengagement, because those are often linked. If you disengage from school, you're more likely to use substances. If you're using substances, you're more likely to disengage from school. We tackle both from either side. We'll see each one be elevated. And so we took these from you guys' board goals and looked at them and said, how does our program fit with them? They don't seem by any stretch hard to imagine how they will, right? Finding all staff and students safe school environment, which we work and learn, addressing disengagement, substance use, stuff in place for that. So it's community and parental involvement. We really want to focus on that community involvement, getting parents coming for the information night and improve how likely someone is to come forward if they do need this, need that, rather than not, so lowering the stigma. And ensure systems that supports student growth. Again, we made first considering students' needs at 57%. Right? If we know there's a need and it's not being met, we hope this starts to grab at that. Yep.
So one of the things that Jody talked a lot about was the partnership, and that's where I start to step back into this a little bit. One of the key components we want with this is really making sure we've got feedback loops and we've got ways to hear from families and students. So we, throughout this whole process, as it is a pilot, there are always hiccups and bumps, and Day and Greg have been very great about answering questions as we try to tease this out and create a very smooth system for students. But it connects all of us as a unit to build the program in a way that works for the students and prospects. And so we really want to continue that feedback-driven loop, and we want to make sure students are supported, not labeled. So that's one of the things that's very important to us as well, is this is one more intervention and support for the students. We really spend a lot of time trying to make sure it meets the needs. And so that's a lot of listening, a lot of information, and just that's going to continue throughout the whole process. We want at the end of this to have every opportunity for students to feel supported. And so we want to make sure that what we're doing impacts the school and the community with early support. We really want to try and get all of those numbers down, because all of the research shows that it has such long lasting impacts. So that's our goal for this. And so we're going to do it in lots of different ways. Gina, if you would go ahead and go to the next slide. We sent family letters home on the 12th. Thank you, Jessica, for helping us with that. And what it was is an introduction to us. 11th grade families got a separate letter, because it is very important to us that we give families the opportunity to discuss the screener that's coming up. And there is an opt-out option as well that goes out with that. Then on the 26th, Jody and Sarah are going to be going to all of the classes and talking to all the high school students so that they see who they are and kind of share a student level perspective of the program. Then on January 28th, we've got a family night. So right after the basketball game, for all the high school families to come over, and we will present something similar-ish to this, but give families information and be able to ask questions. Each of us will have a different component and a station. So, and we'll also teach the families too. So we'll have that all that night. But we want it to be very dialogue. We want families to ask questions because that's how we learn what we need to adjust and where we need to make sure we tweak things. And then on February 2nd that week, Jody and Sarah will be administering that screener, looking for those kind of self-referrals and looking for students that are asking for some support. And that, I think, summarizes all of us. This, did this end up in the packet for the board? The letters, yeah.
No, but I can email it to them at the end.
Okay, I brought copies. I'll just give those to you. That has our contact information on it, has a summary on there. It also has, this is what we will share with the families on the 28th. It has a resource page on the back for that are very prospect specific, but at any time, all of us are available for questions. So
How many schools are you partnering with so far? The pilots, so.
you're our first one. Yeah.
Is there goals to expand it? I mean, pilot through us first for the first year and then expand it?
Yeah, we're gonna be reaching out, to Klamath County and Josephine County as well. And so in the fall, we hope to add 2 additional schools, so we'll have 3 schools.
And I'd like to just reiterate a couple things. First of all, the impact that this is going to have just in resources and having 2 licensed clinicians that are over and beyond what we're doing in mental health services is absolutely huge. And that at no cost to our district. So that's a huge deal. The other piece of this that you didn't really speak to, but I know we've spoke about it, is we have a cross section of a culture in our community that struggles with substance abuse. That's not a secret. The reality is, a lot of times that doesn't necessarily mean our kids, but they come from that environment. And so the support systems that will be put in place through this grant and through this partnership with these students that struggle with environments that they live in will be a huge, huge deal for our kids. And so I just want to commend you guys' efforts and your willingness to reach out and say, hey, Prospect is a place worthy of bringing something like this on board. And I'm excited to work with y'all. So
we're very excited too, honestly.
Even though I say you're killing me.
I'm sorry. That's why I didn't show you.
You're so funny. You're so funny.
Do you guys have any questions we can answer tonight?
Oh, no, it's really exciting. I don't know if it's on.
Great. You'll definitely get additional information from us as we roll this out to families and students. There'll be opportunities for involvement, including being on an advisory board and also help us, kind of monitor how the program is working for the community as well over the course of this year.
That's very cool. Well, thank you for coming out for the presentation.
Yeah. Thank you.
Yeah,
Save and watch that.
absolutely. Because if there's no objections, I think I'm facing next. Back 6.1 right now. So that's
Okay.
Okay, let's see.
Hold on here.
For those of you who don't know me, I'm Kate Wolf, I'm their advisor. They're gonna introduce themselves, but I want to apologize. We do have one student not here who did get to also attend with us this year. She's down there. She's cheering right now. Where's she? Yeah, one of the 2. But the other 3 are here and they are going to present for you guys.
Hang on, I gotta share. Hang on.
Well, hi, I'm J.K. Salata. I am the Prospect FFA chapter president. And right here are 2 of my other members that attended with me to National FFA Convention. The student she's talking about that was not here is our chapter secretary, Aurora.
Hi, I'm Isaac. I'm a 3-year member this year of FFA.
This is Caitlin Clayton. This is the second year in FFA.
She also came in dressed for tonight. She's not feeling well.
All right. I'll step over here. We attended National FFA Convention in Indiana this November, so it's been a while. So we're a little rusty on remembering things.
How was that?
It was actually a lot of fun. There was a lot of cool experiences that we didn't get to experience. Like some of us, not myself, but it was a couple of our kiddos' first time being on an airplane. So it was a cool experience for them. Sometimes. We had fun car rides. We were singing in the car, doing some karaoke. It was a lot of fun, interesting conversations, and a lot of floor time. Let's just say that.
Did you have some place you were gonna go visit?
Yes, that is part of the tour part.
Are you ready? You just tell me when and I'll go to the next slide.
Go to the next slide.
Okay.
So I will start us off here. So when we attend a national FFA convention, there is something called sessions, which they also have at state convention. We went to the first session and then the last session. So the first session, we got to meet our national FFA officers. We got to listen to the guest speaker that was there. He was pretty cool. He was basically telling you to be yourself and don't listen to anyone else when they tell you to be someone else. We went to the 7th session. But I forgot to mention there was a really cool national what was it called? Band and chorus. They were really fun. There was a really cool rapper there, so that was pretty cool. The 7th session, we got to hear more people speak and get to see teams that qualified for national competitions like job interview, food science, stuff like that. We listened to the attiring address of our national president, whose speech was based on sacrifice and finding a purpose. His was also talking about the sacrifices that his grandpa made to make sure his dad didn't have the same struggles that he did when he was growing up. And we watched our new national team be elected, which was a really cool experience. And fun fact, our 2023 and 2024 Oregon FFA state president, JL, is now our national treasurer. So that's really fun. I like to say I was a little lucky charm. Next slide is also me. Oh wait, no, it's you. Sorry.
During the after sessions, we would go to what's it called? Buildings, the shopping center and
College career fair.
Career fair. Thank you. And each of those were their own things. And the FFA shopping mall was the official store for FFA merch and small businesses around the area. And the college and career fair featured agriculture companies and colleges recruiting students. GK got 2 free t-shirts. Congratulations.
In fact, the college that I met at Indiana just recently contacted me and they're from New York. So
some members also got information about different colleges and careers.
I love myself. It's all up in my classroom now. We got cool cowbells that we're gonna bring to state convention. 5 years old. You guys head to the next one.
Hey.
So we got to go to multiple different tours. So our first tour was actually at Indianapolis Speedway. We got to learn the history about the track and how it used to be like farmland, and then someone bought it and turned it into a really cool racetrack, and how they're still expanding it. Where we explored the museums, we got to go on a cool little circle trip around the track and did the thing called Kiss the Bricks. Yeah. We also learned that you can get like an extra $1,000 if you drink milk after you win the race. So that was pretty cool. And then we did some like hands-on simulators, like how fast you can change a tire. I didn't do very well on that one. Or driving the car, didn't do it well on that one either. We also attended a local rodeo where we watched the bulls and the bronco riders, the trick riders, and the funny clown who did steal someone's shoe and stuffed animal and buried it in the dirt. There was one of the people that won the rodeo was actually from Oregon. I can't remember where from Oregon, but somewhere in Oregon.
I thought it was central, but I'm not.
I think it was
could be
central.
wrong.
More central Oregon. Yeah.
Oh.
We went to NCAA Hall of Fame. We learned about college sports histories and famous players and mascots. We participated again on hands-on activities like trivia, basketball, football, and golf. We enjoyed the basketball a little more, and we placed bets. So that was a lot of fun. Second, no, that would be the fourth. Oopsie. One day we went all the way down to Kentucky and we got to go to Churchill Down, one of my favorites, by the way. We got to learn about how they race, the biddings, and how their track was formed. And we learned about how they can like purchase or the height requirement and the weight requirement to be a racer. Pretty cool. Sorry. What was it? So I learned that I had the height requirement, but not the weight requirement to be a horse racer. So we got to go around they also had another museum, and you got to see like all the like little cool pretty dresses that the fancy people will go and bid on horses. We also did the fake gambling simulator. Me and Aurora won $3. I raced with the little horse simulators, and I won every time. We went to Louisville Sluggers, the museum and factory. We learned how their baseballs are made. And we got 3 little baseballs, bats that I did not bring because I forgot. We tried hitting the baseballs, and then we did some more hands-on activities. And we also got to go into the historic baseball bat vault. That was a lot of fun, and the girl we met there was pretty cool.
All of those bats were from people who have hand ordered them, and so it's their original made bats for them.
Yep. And fun fact, we didn't know this until we got there. They made handmade baseball bats that said FFA and welcome us in there, so that was really cool. I brought one of those home. Last little tour we did was Fair Oaks Farms. We learned how the dairy industry worked, especially there in Indiana, and we got to see a cow carousel. That was really weird.
72 or 82 cows. Yeah, cow took 5 minutes to go around all night.
Yep. And then they learned how they were able to keep the cows calm and cradle them into different areas, and how actually not as bad as people make it sound on the dairy industry. That was a lot of fun. I saw it.
Worth doing a speech on?
Huh?
Is it worth doing a speech on?
The dairy industry?
Yeah, the dairy
I mean, I think so.
I did dairy foods. It wasn't that much fun. So we can go to the next slide. This is your turn. We ate food. Was it good? Sometimes.
In reality, I think that was probably the most bonding I've had with the chapter was during meals, especially dinner times. I've seen some of these kids laugh and have fun. I can't tell you how much laughter went on at some of these locations. It was a lot of fun.
Well, the restaurants we went to were these listed here. You can look them up, but we have no pictures, so.
There was some other signs.
Pretty good. Not all the time. Good.
The best part.
I think we had a lot of fun. That was really fun.
Are you ready? Yes. Here's some photos of us there. I'm wearing Aurora in corn. There's like a little corn pit. We gotta go do like little stops that we weren't like supposed to stop at, but we saw cool artwork on walls and we're like, we want to go there. There's us playing basketball at the NCAA Hall of Fame. There's where you see Caitlin hiding behind a TV with a pig. That was Fair Oaks Farms. And then you can see me, Aurora, and Caitlin on the floor in the hallway, waiting for her to come unlock her door. We forgot the keys inside. Yep.
These things happen.
Thank you. There's a reason I have to spend here.
Are we ready?
Yeah.
Okay.
Again, more pictures. One of the middle pictures is us kissing the bricks at the Indianapolis Speedway. And then there's Aurora and Caitlin bat fighting with the bats.
Yeah. Ignore the very illegal car situation.
What?
Driving like that was
They were all getting situated after getting on the planes. It took me like a good 2 minutes to convince them to all kiss the bricks with me. That original set of bricks.
I prayed in the bricks. I didn't kiss the bricks. I was like,
of the racetrack, and so now people will come off when they win and kiss those bricks still to this day.
And there's people's names on them too.
Certain ones I have people.
Yep. And National FFA Convention where the sessions were held were at the Colt Stadium. So we got to go to an NFL stadium, which was pretty cool. And I got to go into the mosh pit. It was a lot of
I can
fun.
find my way down there.
So me and Aurora had a lot of fun in the mosh pit. And then on the floor.
How many FFA members were at the
During seventh session, they topped out max this year for the first time, 73,000 people members and guests.
Because we're just that good. That's why. We're the best.
Largest
We're the best
organization in the United States.
We're just that good. That's why. We're awesome.
Are we ready for another slide? That's it?
We had a lot of fun.
I have a question for you that's $1 million question. So, because I contend that this is the case, but I want to hear from you.
What?
Was this experience life-changing for you and why?
Yes, this is the reason why I'm staying committed to running for state office.
Okay.
So, yes, it was, and it makes me want to run for national.
Awesome.
If I get it.
Isaac, what about you?
I'd say, yeah, it changed my perspective on a lot of things, especially the dairy industry, but changed my perspective on the real scale of fun buildings as well, but also how much fun I can have with an FFA chapter.
Yeah. Yeah. Good. Caitlin?
I didn't sleep while you're looking at me.
Well, was it life-changing?
Yeah.
I mean, what did you take from this experience?
That's the jacket for FFA. So.
No, they don't. They kept us very warm and they kept us very warm in cold conditions.
The one that in a scarf.
You know, that's true.
When we were at National, we're driving back to the hotel. She bought a cool little piggy hat that does like a little hair club and has like lights on. So she has her head out the window. Doing it to strangers. The best part of this whole trip was not the FFA thing. It was pretty cool for the FFA thing, but the best part of the trip was getting out of Ugly.
Yeah. Getting out of Prospect and seeing out of
No, that jacket.
Well, I can tell you it was life-changing for me going to National Convention, and I'm glad that you guys were able to and go.
It was a lot of fun.
Congratulations.
I got to see Aqualad. Aqualad? Yeah. Yeah. That's the college that brought one. That's the college that contacted me.
That's awesome. Okay, that's fun.
We're glad you guys had a good time, and thank you for
A lot of
sharing
fun.
with us.
We can move now. Are there any other questions? Feel free to ask any questions.
Yeah. If you want to see more photos, we definitely posted a ton of photos.
And more information. Because we forgot a lot of it.
Very cool. Well, thank you, Caitlin. Thank you for showing up.
If I have any, that's awesome. I'm gonna hold you hostage. Get out the door. Thank you.
Thanks.
Okay, moving on to
We can extend entertainment if Sandy wanted to talk about a wilderness experience. You're in the wilderness, Sandy. You're in Prospect.
Thank you, guys.
Thank you for coming. Share with you later.
So moving on to consent motions 3.1 through 3.4. The information in there, we have one budget opening and one that has to be from the new equity committee. Mr. Sunday, I'll talk about that one for a second.
Yeah, so before the governor, we'd formulated equity committees that were ran by the district. The budget committee had policy that essentially stated that somebody from the equity committee had to be on the budget committee. And so then the governor changed the dynamic of the equity committee. And so we folded the equity committee underneath my supervision, which then we folded it into the leadership committee. And so I asked Rihanna Rude to be part of that leadership group, and that she has agreed to be the equity team member. And and that she could fulfill the requirement of that one open budget committee position. So we have a leadership meeting next week. I fully contend that our leadership team will appoint her to that group, and then next month you guys will be able to appoint her to the budget committee.
She still has to fulfill the same requirements, so she has to live in the district, not be an employee of the district.
Yep.
But also does. So,
And a community, I mean, a parent. So, and she's a parent, I should say.
any questions on the budget calendar? Any corrections to the minutes?
Exactly, his correction.
Okay.
You hear that, Ray?
I did.
Is there a motion to accept 3.1 through 3.4 as
So moved.
the motions are second? Okay, that will be seconds. Motion second. Any questions, debate on anything on it? Then we will start with myself, and I vote yes. Mr. Williams?
Yes.
Ms. Williams?
Yes.
Mr. Rose?
Yep.
And reports 4.1, Mr.
Oh boy. Start with I sent an email out to Natalie and Simon. There's a OSDA opportunity for training. I don't know if that's something that fits or something that you guys would like to do, but it's essentially it's all virtual. It's for the remainder of this year, starts in March with their first cohort, and then it goes for the end of the year. And then if you want to take it next year, you can take the year 2 portion of it. I don't know if you're interested in it. If you are, please let me know, and we'll take it from there. We have been having some conversations about our preschool program, and kind of want to get some of your thoughts, just in at face value. Currently, we have 4 students that are 4-year-olds that are in our preschool. We have an employee that's attached to that program, and we're past the point of critical mass, I believe, and in the cost associated with that to continue to have 4. There's a possibility that we may lose 1 or 2 more students in the next month or 2 out of that program, which is a huge concern, because if we don't have students, then we don't have a program. So we have sent out a flyer and a robotext to parents reminding them that, hey, we do have a preschool program, if you're interested in it. Please let us know. From that effort, we have not heard a thing in a week since we sent that out. I think the majority of our community knows we have a preschool program, but because most of our parents work down the hill, even if they live here, it's inconvenient to have a kid up here for half a day at preschool when they're working down there and they can't get back. So there's some of those real hurdles involved. So we've tried to be creative, knowing that there is some value to what we're doing that's real. At the same token, we also are good stewards of our money and of our resources, and the impact on the number of students that are involved with employees that we have hired. And so we're kind of considering the possibility of going to a hybrid model, where instead of 4 days a week, maybe it's 2 days a week for those kids, so that we still have them connected, and to communicate with parents about that, and then reassign our employee where that employee has more of an impact on larger numbers of students during the day on those 2 extra days. So those are the couple things that we've talked about, discussed. A preschool teacher knows that I processed this with her as well, and she knows that I was going to report on it tonight, and just kind of wanting your guys' opinions on what you think should be the course of action that we take here.
I have 2 questions.
Yep.
So what numbers do you need in the preschool just to make it work?
Yeah, I think ideally 7 or 8 would be more appropriate to have a full-time preschool program. That's my opinion. I mean, we lose money regardless because we don't get any reimbursement. It's just taken from the general fund. It's a service that we offer our community and a service that we offer students that don't have access to preschool services because we're so rural.
So then I've got 3 questions actually.
Yeah.
The second question then is, what are the reasons that they're leaving?
The reasons why kids are leaving because they're leaving the area. People are they're
So
relocating.
people are actually moving.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
So that's something we can't control.
Right.
So what about the students or the families that do still live here but have to put their kid down in town because they work down in town? There still really isn't very many all-day preschools that are free. They have to pay for it.
Yep.
So is there an option where we could offer a half-day preschool that's school and then a half-day paid or maybe low-cost daycare facility of some kind? Is that something that the school can do because we're in such a rural community?
Yeah. So I looked at this last year. We had a gal that I'm very good friends with that run preschools in school districts in Grants Pass. She came up here. We looked at facilities. We looked at safety measures. We talked about contract. We talked about critical mass with the numbers that it would take to pull that off. And the reality is it wasn't viable with facility because the state requirements for a state-ran daycare is crazy and difficult. We looked at churches. We looked at across the street. We looked at our own facility. There was just hurdles with the facility. That was the first piece of it. The second piece that was the major hurdle was staffing and the number of kids that it takes to be able to pay for it. And you're looking at a daycare that probably needs to be 15 plus kids to be able to make costs on a state-ran daycare. A private ran daycare is still regulated by the state. They play by the same rules. It's there's just a lot of hurdles there, a lot of red tape and bureaucracy. So there really wasn't we didn't really have an option.
So then, okay, so 4 questions.
That's okay. That's good.
There might be a fifth step.
That's good.
So then the 2 days a week. So to going down to 2 days a week, half day, 2 days a week.
Mm-hmm.
So we're still gonna employ though a teacher to put the curriculum together and a plan, but so you have to pay them. Is their contract gonna be any different?
No, we would still retain the employee in their current employment. Would not change. We would just reassign them. So
Something else.
yeah.
Okay.
So working with kids.
Yeah. So we're not gonna lose staff per se, but then we're not gonna be losing any extra money, though still, even if we reassign them.
No.
Okay.
No, because it's not reimbursed by the state.
Right.
So it's that position 100% is funded by the general fund.
Could that room be used for anything else?
Yeah, that's something else to consider. On the days that maybe preschool's not happening there, we could utilize that space for something else. Yep. Especially, yeah, around tutoring and there's a whole bunch of different options.
I like the idea of reducing it without getting rid of the program. Because if we get kids, ramp it back up again. We don't lose anything. The foothold's still there, but
yeah,
I don't think it does make sense for 1 or 2 kids.
Yeah,
a lot.
Yeah. So what's a halftime? What kind of financials off the top of your head would be halftime employee? Close, just ballpark figure that we're spending on a halftime employee. Yeah, over 15,000. It's classified position, so it's less than.
It's the equivalent of the office manager, right? Or is it tier 2?
It's tier 2.
The second level staff.
Yeah, it's tier 2. Yeah. Any other questions or help ideas that you might have?
Well, that's changed next year if we have one.
Yeah, we're looking at the end of January to make a change at semester, which I think makes sense. But I want to get a hold of parents, next week and kind of make a plan, a transition plan, so that they have some time to plan.
Have you heard from any parents? I know there's parents up here that have preschool age kids that they're not in any school. And then there's some kids that aren't even in any school at all, even living homeschool. I'm not sure what's happening. But anyway, so have you heard from any parents that have never been enrolled here but live here? Like asking questions? Not at all.
And we put it on social media. We put it on the Prospect community page. We have sent robotexts out, posted it on our webpage. We've tried to communicate with everybody that's in our network. And, one thing about Prospect it's like any other small town, it's a fishbowl. So if something's posted on social media or on the website and you're connected to it, you're connected to 10 other people that live in Prospect or 20, and you know that there's a kid, you're probably saying something at the Peanut Club on Sunday that, hey, your kid, we have a preschool. And so have you considered it? And so that's one of the reasons why we are, like with what we're doing with Prospect Thrives, is that parents talk about kids and they talk about staff. And if we're communicating effectively with our parents are communicating with one another, we all win. So, but yeah, it's difficult. I mean, we struggle getting parents to be involved in anything.
Yeah, for sure. I agree. I think it's best just to break it down to halftime instead of getting rid of it. Because what if there's some kind of surge and they need to have a space for kids?
Yep.
I hate those kids just not having it.
Yeah. And unfortunately, there's babies having babies, so that'll contribute to that too.
There you go.
They need to do.
Well, thank you for that information or your opinions on it. I want to let you know about the transportation audit that's coming up January 29th. ODE is doing transportation audit on our busing company. The majority of their time will be spent in White City, in Medford, looking at our buses, making sure that we're in compliance with training of our bus drivers, all that stuff. And then they also will be making a trip up here to take a look at what our procedures are with our type 20s, with the people that are on our list as being highly qualified to drive type 20 and all the training that goes with that. And this will go. And our bookkeeping processes, which we're prepared for that. Wanted you to be aware of that. Also wanted to share with you that our enrollment, there's kind of been some doom and gloom about enrollment, that we've lost some kids, and we have lost a few kids, but I was pleasantly surprised today when we pulled numbers. We're at 208 K-12 with 12 homeschool academy kids. So we're at 220 K-12 in all programs, and that's down a little bit, but it's really not down that far. So I thought that was exciting to share with you where we're at there. And we have 12 students that are in our homeschool academy, and I reached out to several of them and also talked with Christy about, like options, like if we folded because I've been worried about numbers. If we ended up folding our homeschool program, would we gain those kids back in school? And there's maybe 2 or 3 that we would. The rest of them would do something else.
And wasn't the number to begin with like 15, 17 to break even on that?
Break even is actually about 12.
Okay.
So it's 120,000 and we're 10 grand or 10, I mean. Yeah. So for the employee, but by the time we buy curriculum, I like to say 12. We have 12 there. So we're sitting okay, and it's a service to our community that the parents and the kids that are involved in it really appreciate having that option. So,
and we don't know why they wouldn't.
Well, a lot of them live out of the area, so we can serve them in the county and even outside of our county if we want, but they don't live here. Some of them just recognize that regular school is not for them. It's not for their family. it's not for their kid. And so they'll look for an alternative online, some kind of online program for their kiddos instead of enrolling them in school here. So.
And is that portion getting shared heavily as far as trying to recruit even to that instead of just in person?
Yeah, we always have stuff out on that. So we probably need to do it more effectively with new information, but yeah. And again, word of mouth of programming. I mean, to be able to compound what we offer for services is, hey, have you heard about the Prospect School? I got an email from that teacher that said something about my kid. Oh, do you really? You didn't look up anything in their product? Have you looked at their website? You know they offer a homeschool program. I mean, that's how that stuff spreads. And so I think you know, an effort to you know, tackle every angle with advertising is really important. You know, parents, I think the one thing about Prospect that I think I can say with confidence, and it's kind of something that I kind of hang our hat on, that's that parents still matter here, kids still matter here, and parents have an opinion, and we'll always listen, and we'll always try to meet kids where they are and where families are, and I think that's different than a lot of other places. We may be short in some other things, you know, like highly qualified staffing and those kinds of things, but we offer programming here that a lot of other small school districts don't. And the big difference is kids can come here and they're not a number, they're a person. And so, and I think that separates us. And we're competing for butts and seats. And we're different than Eagle Point. We're different than Central Point. We're Prospect. We have a 4-day school week. We have we don't have any blended classrooms. We don't have elementary classrooms with 30 plus kids in them. Those are huge benefits to the right families that understand the value of student to staff ratio, and understand that a small environment's, you know, probably a better environment for the majority of students. That's just the reality. So I think we hang our hat on those kinds of things, and we have key terms and things that we say, hey, look, this could be a destination district for families that live in our region, and these are the reasons why, X, Y, and Z, and it's because they're different than what Eagle Point offers or Central Point, or Butte Falls for that matter. It's different than there too. So we're still a comprehensive school system because we still have a decent enrollment, and if kids want to be involved, they can get involved. They can wrestle if they want. They're not going to get cut from the basketball team. They can be involved in a drama class in high school. They can go to $1 million shop that rivals anything Eagle Point has for construction and for manufacturing. We have an FFA program. There's just a lot of things that I think we can sell our district on with a lot of families. But it takes all of this. It can't just come from whatever we post on social media. It's got to come from parents that know and feel good down deep about what we're doing. And that's what we're trying to do.
I think what you're going to start seeing in the next year or two, because you remember a couple of years ago when we were having conversations about culture shift and all the little tidbits that were happening within the school and little changes here and there, but change takes time, like you said. So now with the integration of this Prospect Props initiative and this drug and addiction initiative, there's all this other stuff, and so you start changing that culture. You started, you know, almost 4 years ago now.
In this room.
At a time, right? And so it's like now with all this other stuff happening, we're going to start seeing a shift in the next probably year or two. But because it just takes that much time, and parents even, it's going to take that much time for their brains to be like, oh, this is actually a really good one.
Yeah.
And so I think that we'll start seeing more positive feedback from parents, but it's gonna still be a little bit.
It still stems from, like everywhere, parent engagement.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, and we're on the low end of that spectrum. We've got to continue to work on that and try to get parents involved by stating, you still matter. If there's an issue, pick up the phone and call me. You can talk to the superintendent anytime you want. Just pick up the phone. Where else can they do that? I'm readily available. Greg is readily available. So those access to administration, access to teachers, those are big. That's a big deal. because that's not the norm in most industries. So, I wanted to also share that our cell phone policy has gone over pretty dang well. We've had a handful of, small situations that we were able to handle just fine. And our kids being more deviant about hiding it and stuff. I mean, maybe I think there's probably some of that, but for the most part, I think we're doing pretty good. So it hasn't been a huge issue. The generators, we already talked about those, but glad those are hooked up and we're good to go there. One of the things I wanted to share about calendars, I kind of want to shift how we've handled calendars in the past, where we've taken it, a couple of options and just gave it out to the staff, and then the staff, votes on it, and then we bring it to the board without the board weighing in. I want to switch that. I would like to create a couple of drafts for next month. Put the drafts in the board packet, have you guys weigh in on the drafts, then take that to our staff, and then get their feedback, and then I'll bring that feedback back to you, and then in the March meeting, approve the school calendar with a couple of different options. Greg's I know he's gonna talk about parent conduct and kid conduct and their handbook and those kinds of things. So that being said, I think that's where I'll sign off.
Sounds good. Let's go high school. Mr. Wayne.
Oh, yeah. Jess brought it up pretty good and great earlier about player conduct in basketball games. I had some incidents, and I actually had an opportunity to go around and talk to basketball officials and football officials right before the break began, and one of the weekends of the break, I sat and talked with them. But prior to that, I kind of just sent out some marching orders to coaches that you deliver these to parents. I did select a handful of parents to schedule a meeting with that I met with in person about conduct of games and comments. But in the meantime, prior to organizing this and getting it ready for spring, I did send out these two messages of standard player conduct. And since I just recall standing at the doorway of the basketball game and seeing a chronic tantrum, check the door to see if I was standing there, and prior to saying something, I was okay. They got the message, and it's not perfect by any means, but this kind of put a little bit of a damper on it as far as that. One of the things I communicated to some parents was, you talk about the officials, coaching, and all those things, all that you not get to talk to the other team, you get to talk to the official, you don't get to talk to our coach, and you don't get to talk to your athlete while he is on the court being supervised, coached, and corrected by somebody else, because that is not it at all. And so that was the gist of that. There's some consequences listed on here as far as being redirected. Redirectable, that's great, that's wonderful. If you're not, like if it's Mr. Stone standing up and saying, hey, be quiet, keep your mouth shut, that's redirected. If you bark back, then it becomes, we're going to have a conversation about you attending home and away games. It's the message gets exaggerated a little bit from officials to other people. Some folks say that, it's worse than it is. Some of the officials say, hey, we absolutely would love to come up there. There's reasons on both ends. But moving forward, down below, I do have a plan that's been in the notebook for quite some time of how it fits our identity and how it fits our community and how it fits our kids and our kids coming up. So we did discuss and we are making plans on moving to one award ceremony in spring that encompasses all sports and activity accomplishments. It also includes an athletic fundraiser, where not just athletics but other activities get to be involved in this. We'll hold that somewhere close to our academic awards and school students, and piggyback some things. If coaches have already had their things this year, like in the fall, we'll include their accolades in the slideshow or in some portion of that. Another meeting with coaches for respected coaches, people who've been involved in the spring to align a standard for competition, which includes a clear philosophy that I have a typo in here, but that can be lived on the field, off of the field, on and off of the field of play. Intentionality when it comes to habits and details and standards and handling adversity in practice, things that are practiced, things that are coached, that aren't just X's and O's and schemes. Constant competition in everything we do so that our students learn how to compete with themselves, with others, and then against other teams. Things like competition with depth charts, competition with where effort is involved and accountability. And this has to be growth oriented and not a humiliation punishment thing if you're not beating yourself or if you're not competing at a high level with yourself and with other people. Another piece of that is establishing a competition protocol or eligibility standard nights where we share that with folks. Those will be mandatory. Everybody comes, eligibility is part of attending that as a parent and an athlete, or we'll speak to those things. That will include preseason alignments for things. We're gonna, I'm sure some of you are familiar with it. We do have resources that are available that you can check out. They're out there in my office on Bruce Brown's parent release framework. So we can see your athlete to the experience. And so boundaries of what can be discussed by parents regarding athletics, we want those to all be the same across the board, from whether you're whether we're involved in some type of youth activity here all the way up to senior year. So those types of things and how parents can be employed. We have an opportunity with some groups of parents up here right now that want to be involved and employed some way of making the experience more positive and also focusing on the positive parts of the experience. What can you do? So if you want to help feed, if you want to do something, if you want to welcome the visiting team to our gym or to our field, those are things that we'll discuss. Sideline standards, other chains of communication and chains of supporting athletes, those will be part of that. And then kind of to sum it all up, they're all different teams. They're middle school teams. If we ever had a little league team, they're all different teams, but we're at the same playbook, same standard, and every coach will be involved at most levels. That's the vision that I have, so that our kids are being supported and the young ones are looking forward to reaching levels where the older kids go. And then I also want the cheer team to come up with snarky little cheers that we can all do, and we all feel like we got to fight. I know, but I would like that.
It's not better than the
I want a collective something that says we're dissatisfied with it, but we're good sports about it, and kind of like John Gordon and his traveling call story.
Any questions? Okay, special projects. Sure.
All right. I have several small things. Short things would be better. Wanted to give you an update on our attendance data. I put the posters back up again with our latest. Sorry, Ray, it's not something you can see from your angle, but I'll just explain.
That's all right.
We still have that base data from last year that we weren't real satisfied with. This poster, shout out to Janet, who takes care of all of the data and puts these posters together for us so they can be posted out front where the families can see. Even if you just squint and look at the color change, even though in November and December we had a couple of rough months with a little bit more absences, our year to date in almost every grade level is regular attendance level. We had a little bit, and we still have work to do in high school. We've got new ideas for it. We're going to keep coming at it. It's not a secret that the 11th grade is the place where we really want to keep working and focusing to get students engaged.
That's a hard class.
But they're worth our time.
They are.
What doesn't show up on that data is little tiny little things that are changing adults have done a few things different. There are little positive things that are happening. Not turn them more positive. You can see it starting to mature and see value in some of the stuff that's going on here and in themselves.
And our attendance committee still meets twice a month. It includes Janice, myself, Greg. We've invited Juan to participate, a member from the SOESD, and then the new the counselors are going to start coming for this new project, so they have a lead on what our need is. And then Jen and I are continuing to reach out county and state level cohorts for new ideas. The couple of things I have for you guys. Natalie asked me to get information on, take one around, how much students are using that student success agency. The app that we brought them in, they train them, they get a mentor that is a college level student, kind of encourage them. I thought this was really interesting. When I first heard about this opportunity, the thing I really liked about it was that the mentors reach out to the students, because I think that fits our need here. And I think this data absolutely proves that. At this point, students aren't initiating conversation, but that's not keeping them from getting the information that they benefit from. So these college mentors are reaching out to the kids and building that connection. So we can see that it is being used and that there's lots of advising going on. It's functioning the way it's.
That's out of a list of 80 kids.
Yeah.
57 out of 80. That's a pretty high number.
Is it 80 or 89?
I'm not sure how many kids are in his school.
I don't know if that might be
We
exact.
started here with 87.
And it may not be all high school kids have initiated the app, so probably.
Most of them from high school.
No, I mean, like, every student may not have downloaded the app to have a connection, so still pretty dang good.
That's true.
57, you know.
It's a lot better than I would have guessed.
Yeah, no, that's good. And then like the minutes, the 2,700 minutes
Yeah.
of counseling and advising. So I mean, that's a start.
Yep.
That's great.
So we have like a dedicated class for this. I like made that number. So do we have dedicated class time for this app or
No.
teaching tools and teachers on it?
Nope.
That's
They got
really like after hour too.
This is 24/7 availability.
Yeah.
Yeah. So they have it at home on the weekends.
Well, no, and I get that. I just didn't know if that number was more. Yeah,
It's
you know,
not
3
only
teachers are
advising,
using it as part,
right.
yeah, absolutely.
Nope. Short of the time that when the agency came in and trained all the kids, like they did a presentation and okay, let's get this up and running. It's on the kids and their mentors.
Yeah. My guess is the majority of this interactions are happening on the weekends, not during school days.
I know Haley's reached out about math here and stuff, and just we said, do this frustrated level of, hey, I need help and support. Okay, we'll get back to you in 2 weeks.
Oh.
So the 2-week lag time, so you can get tutoring. Hey, I have a tutor, yeah, quick math that I for next week.
Did you
Yeah, we
report
can't.
that to anybody here in the Student Success Center?
Okay,
That's just
like
like, okay, that's hard because it's more, she thought like, hey, this is cool. I can spend this weekend, I can get up to date on my homework, I can get help, I can do this. And I sat down like, yeah, we can't get to you, so we'll have someone reach out to you next.
That's
The
unfortunate.
next round. It's like, okay, well, that.
And that's not the intention of the program.
Yeah,
at all.
it's not.
And that's what made me worried about the number on what those minutes actually are versus
Right.
if it's dedicated classroom time, like, well, we have 3 periods, reach out, talk to somebody now type thing. Teacher push versus student. You know?
So yeah, maybe find out. Tutoring looks like. Also, if Steph still has access, tutor.com is free with her program. So Lily used that program a few times and was able to log in at like 10 o'clock at night. And but Haley would have to get signed up and stuff. Yeah.
Could one of you guys take a picture of what she handed to you and that chart that was on the wall or where I couldn't see it? Send it to me.
I will absolutely email you all of it.
Oh, great. please.
Yep, glad to do it.
I hate not being there, to be honest with you.
You know, and Ray, everyone else remembered to bring a presentation, and I just didn't have materials to upload.
I know. I'm not saying it's not you, sweetheart. It's me.
It's all good. I'm glad you're here
We
tonight.
all are.
I am continuing to work with the ODE's school safety department. It's been fantastic working with Bianca. She's a great partner. We are still working on revising. We've gone our first draft of the emergency plan, and we're just gonna tweak it into something that's easier. She came out and met me in person, and so she was out here, and she's a stop lead trainer. I had her do a lesson for our professional development, and she brought her mannequins were the kind where you're actually practicing because they do make sure you're able to stop the flow and all of that kind of thing. And ODE did a write-up on our school, which is kind of cool. So more positive news out there about how amazing it is. And I just kind of flipped the art. Let's see. Stronger Connections. The ODE is going to come out and do a site visit February 5th. They want to see the programs we've put in place the last couple of years. For obvious reasons, I'm their tour guide for that day, and they'll meet with Elsa and Greg Simmons and kind of see the amazing things. And other than that, I am still working with Scholastic to finish our community engagement assessment, and then they will come back with suggestions on things we can do to build two-way communication with us. Any questions on?
One question I have, how many kids are in the 11th grade?
11th grade, off the top of my head, I don't know the answer. 20. It's a big class. Yeah,
So the attendance, it's about 79%.
Yeah.
2 kids not showing up.
It could be. Right, this is a cohort thing, so it could be you have 2 chronically absent students.
Skew the data big time.
Yep.
Any other questions? Finance report.
December 31st. Nothing really significant to report. Field touch on enrollment. But increase number there, what that looks like right now. Local and state revenues are still pretty consistent. Interest rates, we're still over 4% of settlement pool, which is higher than we anticipated last year. We were estimating things. In the next couple of months, when the state rebalances, that state number is going to go down for our monthly state school support. Second quarter ADM will be going in. Those rebalance local revenue, transportation costs. So there'll be some adjustment in that number, probably reflected in March. On expenditures, that facilities acquisition, under that is where our generator costs came from. The one-time costs there. Other than that, this is this time of year where you work in 3 different years. And so sometimes you really are not sure what year you're in. 24, 25, all of the actual were submitted to ODE. Also, there was another step with the single audit that has to be filed with the Federal Clearinghouse. So I looked through all of those steps and filed that. 25, 26, we're working in. The estimate was just submitted, updated 25, 26, and also forecasted our numbers, which our first budget numbers will be for working as of March 1st for 26, 27. As far as enrollment, I took a pretty conservative approach. We've got 15 seniors going out. That number of kindergarten, we're likely going to see an increase right there for next year. So definitely never want to put us in a situation of forecasting higher than where we are going to come out this year. We always want to be based, not over forecasting. and using our budget on that. So that's how I proceeded and submitted that estimate again for this year.
And what was that estimate number?
I did an estimate at 212 because with this as well, we have we have 6 students that are part-time FTEs, so that helps another 3 students. Yeah. 26, 27, we'll be starting to roll out budget, building that off again, not a whole lot, until the short session and see where we go there. Hopefully my rainy days pop in with you. If not, you know, but there's not a lot we can forecast right now as far as, you know, we'll see where that goes and what funding is going to look like. Other than that, procurement review through ODE assignment complete, and no areas out of compliance, so that wraps up. E-rate is starting a new category 2 cycle, a 5-year cycle. So I'm working with LBL to put out all our fees for firewalls, Meraki licensing and access points. And other than that, the 99s, W2s, wrap up year end of those types of things, and then grant reporting.
Yeah, she just skimmed over it, but I just want to give props to Sherry. The procurement review found 0 issues. So I just want to say, you know, all the school districts are struggling with business managers and struggle with money and compliance of money around the state. We don't. And it's because of the work that she does. So I just want to give her a shout out to that. It's kind of a big deal. Not kind of. It's rock solid.
That's why you don't get a lot of questions from me. It's because she's rock solid at it. I trust her dearly. I trust her.
We invested into the homeschool program today.
Well, besides staffing, I mean, each kid's different based on what their needs are with curriculum. You know, we'd have to run those numbers. I couldn't tell you off the top of my head what that dollar amount is. I would say right now it's a net gain for the district over the course of the starting it up versus where we're at right now. Still think it's a net gain, but how much, I don't know. I couldn't tell you for sure. And that's a fair assessment, isn't it? Yeah.
Yeah, our costs have decreased as far as supplies and curriculum. That's come down a lot versus last year. And some of the things that are able to be used or passed on. And Christy's great about those things. And from the same families, it's not necessarily all the additional supplies or so that has came down, and more of a consistent kind of group this year where we had a lot of in and out last year.
But that still goes into if a student brings in or whatever weighted at $10,000 curriculum and stuff still comes out at $10,000, right? It just is the top end of what we're talking about. So our break even, I guess, because we talked about that a little bit, we're getting closer to like right on the line of making it make financial sense versus it not. Or because when we first talked about this, we talked about 20 students, a gain of roughly $30,000 to $70,000, depending on how it worked out in the general fund budget. But we're not seeing those returns, right?
Well, not this year. No. Last year we saw one of the things that Sherry just mentioned is we have some kids that, first of all, we started it up, so it took some time to kind of get it going. The other piece of the last year was we had some kids that came and go. They went and then they came, and then they went and then they came because they couldn't figure out what was the right fit. Parents couldn't figure out what the right fit was. This year, like Sherry mentioned, is more consistent, a more consistent group of parents that know what they want. Kids know what they want, and so they're there. And so for us reporting EDMW on those kids, it makes, you know, if they're there consistent, then we can collect on them. If they're not, they're there for 3 months and then they go somewhere else or they do something else, then that's a struggle. We had a revolving door with probably a third of our students or better last year.
Yeah, and that's what I don't want to focus on this year's, not I want the historical trend of where we're at, right? Because you can't build a burden talk about can't build a program that will be successful right away, but look at the historical trend, see at what point then, because then that break even number changes over time to where, okay, historically we're trending down and we may not be able to make that up towards that, but also on the flip side, not losing 10 kids just to lose 10 kids, right? So balancing that.
Yeah.
More historical averages.
Yeah, that's why I say 12 feet. The number for in my head for break even or net gain is 12 kids.
And anything above that is net positive.
Yeah. And we might be in net positive at 12 if we sharpen the pencil, depending on curriculum costs and those kind of. That's 12 kids that are there that stay with us.
Anybody have any questions over the financial reports? Money in or outs, supplies, nothing? Cool, thank you. We'll move on to information personnel report, which I don't believe we have any.
Yeah, we have a couple. Yeah, we have a couple resignations.
No.
You missed one up above. There wasn't any certified administrator.
That's right.
So we're down on informational.
53.
What our boys did.
Lowest extra in the entire world because it took 20 minutes. I swear, after we said 2 minutes left.
Something happened to service. As soon as I walked out of the gym, I lost complete cell service.
Well, we were down like 15 and a half.
Wow.
It's weird cell service.
So we had a couple of resignations. Krista, our assistant custodian, has taken a new job at Shasta up at Weed. Will be leaving the community, so she resigned. And we have assistant custodial position that's posted that will close on Thursday, so we'll interview next week on Tuesday for that position. Amanda Wetzel with middle school assistant basketball, and then we hired Kevin Frizen and Stormy. I know where's Thompson. I'm not sure what her maiden name is. Or it's still Thompson. For the head and assistant middle school basketball girls program. So those are. And then we hired Troy year-round. We made him a year-round maintenance custodial combination position, so we could put our teeth in the end and keep him around because he's a busy bee and works really hard. So we're pretty excited about being able to do that. So now he can work through the month of July, and then we've made the custodial position essentially his working calendar that he currently has right now. It's not year-round. So
that'll help cover for Krista leaving, but are you gonna hire another full-time custodian for?
another custodian, yeah, we're gonna hire a custodian. We're gonna interview on Tuesday for that position. Yep.
Like a 3/4 time position, or just
It's 36,
not full time, not 12 months.
36 or 34 hours. 34 hours a week.
What are their hours? 34 hours a week, you said?
Yeah.
And is it?
So they'll work 3 to 10 Monday through Thursday,
Oh, okay.
and then on Friday a full day.
I knew someone was looking for a job.
At the month of July off.
And the month of July off. Yep.
So it doesn't have to.
Doesn't have benefits.
Yeah. Sometimes. So. Would you say Friday?
8 hours Friday.
Not full day, 8 hours Friday. Okay.
And right now the posting is just internal.
Oh, okay. So it may not go external if you guys get enough internal.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, exactly right.
Okay, well, let me know if it goes external. Someone I know was looking at.
Okay.
Any questions on that? 4.6 comprehensive plan.
In your little packet that we handed out to you tonight, I wanted to kind of bring up to speed what we came up with in our last meeting. The next meeting is next Tuesday, the 20th. It is at 4 o'clock.
I took the whole week off just for that meeting.
Oh, awesome.
I know.
There you go. So you have this on your calendar?
Well, yeah, I took the whole week off just for that meeting.
You are awesome. Okay. Well, I hope that you and Simon can come next Tuesday. Okay, awesome.
I'll be.
What you're looking at is the first bullet or the first meeting, what we covered. We will wait until the semester when we have STAR data. And as we get OSAS data at the end of the year, we will add baseline data accordingly for grade levels using the synergy report, or we have some synergy things that we can forward to on as well. The goals that the team came up with is during the 25-27 biennium, 100% of students in grades 3, 5, and 8 will demonstrate growth by 4% annually to both ELA and math, as illustrated by beginning of year to end of year STAR results in these grades. So essentially, beginning of the year, the baseline data with STAR results to the end of the year with 4% annually. Those numbers are taken out of the longitudinal growth goals. The percentages are kind of in line with what the state is setting up for us as far as growth goals are concerned in the way of longitudinal growth goals. And that way, this doesn't go outside of the model of the integrated plan and the grant money that's tied to money, and making sure that all arrows are pointed in the same direction. The second goal that we came up with under academic success was during the 25-27 biennium, 100% of students in grades 9 and 12 will be checked for credit acquisition each semester in order to graduate on time, as seniors will meet or exceed 9th grade on track by cohort. So what that means is that the 9th grade, so graduation rates are based on a 4-year cohort, 4 years. You come in, you enroll by SSID number as a freshman, and you're on track. And let's say out of 20 kids, 19 of them are on track to graduate. Your on track number is 98%. The graduation rate for that group of students that finish 4 years, not kids that leave, but kids that finish for 4 years here, should be at the same percentage. So our grad rate continues to follow that cohort list with 9th grade on track, meet or exceed. So if it's higher, great. But it can't be less than. Then under student opportunities, we came up with one goal that we really feel like is linked to student success, and during the 25-27 biennium, student participation in extracurricular, not just athletics activities, will increase by both activity cohort and school-wide by 5% and 10% respectively from 1 year to the next. So, if you only have 20 boys in the high school and you have 20 kids out or 19 kids out for football, it's really hard to say, okay, we're going to gain by 10% by the number of kids that are involved. That's why there's a list of things up there. We're going to create a student data tracking sheet for each activity, and we'll track how many kids are involved in drama, how many kids went to Rogue Valley Symphony, how many kids are involved in camp invention in June. I mean, that's an extension. What's that?
Outdoor school.
Yep, outdoor school. So there's a bunch of different things that we want kids to be involved in. This is not a comprehensive list, but it gives you an idea of what we're going to be tracking.
You're gonna.
Yeah, it says athletics as well, all athletic sports. And then the third one is student-centered campus life, the metric, looking at some authenticity customer service surveys, and then prospect prop student data. During the 25-26 school year, Associated Student Body Leadership will develop processes that include elections, a constitution annual review, and student-led events, a student-led events calendar that are centered on school traditions and student engagement. So having a list of all the activities that we have as a school district, and they're scripted, and who's involved in it, who's in charge of junior prom, of the prom, who's in charge of homecoming, who's in charge of the toga dance, all of those kinds of things, along with having an ASD leadership group that continually is looking to their constitution and the annual review of their constitution, and then a formulated process around elections that create consistency with ASB. And then the second goal was during the 25-27 biennium, not annually, or over a 2-year span, annual restorative practice review and refinements that are proactive, will model positive culture and expectations that are clear, consistent, and employed by staff or our staff wide effectively. So I had this conversation today with our elementary group. You know, the difference between punishment and consequences, and what does that look like, and how sometimes we still continue to shame kids through punishment instead of having real consequences behind behavioral expectations. And those look dramatically different when they're done well. And trying to employ that system-wide with classified staff, coaches, certified staff is challenging because people know what they know. And people are human. And when they get frustrated with a kid, where they go a lot of the time is why did you do that? Instead of coaching them what they should do. Instead of sitting down and having a 360-degree conversation that involves multiple pressure points of people that hold kids accountable to behavior that changes behavior. I still contend that lunch detention and holding a kid from recess doesn't change behavior. All it does is punish a kid. It doesn't change behavior. They're going to go right back to it. I had a conversation with a kid yesterday that continues to hit kids. He hits kids because he doesn't have the skill set to control impulse. He doesn't have a skill set. So how do we teach them? How do we teach him to get to a place where he learns that, and he learns what his triggers are so that he doesn't do those kinds of things, and then involve the adults and the support systems around him to change his behavior. And that's what a consequence looks like versus just a punishment. And so that goal, there was a large conversation around that. You know, I think about punishment. I think about how deviant I was as a kid. I became more deviant because I knew that, one, if I got in trouble, it didn't matter. I was still going to do what I was going to do, but I was going to find a way around it. And so trying to create and employ systems where we actually, when a kid makes a mistake or a kid doesn't know what to do, we actually coach them and teach them what to do. That's restorative practice. And so it's the do's and the don'ts of that is the process. And I think we've made huge strides with it, but we still got some places to go with it. So on Tuesday, we're tackling systems of maintenance, financial planning, and facilities. So that's what the meeting will be about, those three things. And we'll do the same thing. We'll go through the same process we did here. We'll just kind of brainstorm, come up with some things. We'll throw some information in front of the group, and then we'll draw goals around it. So this is really fun. This is my wheelhouse. I love this stuff. So we'll report back next month with that work.
So I know there's going to be lots of ongoing conversations on that, but in the moment, with 20 kids in the class, what's the difference between punishment and consequences? And dealing with that moment without becoming a giant distraction for the classroom.
If you remove the distraction,
Remove the distraction.
and you get support, with it.
But
Students regulated, has been talked to and made aware.
absolutely, I'm tracking
When
you
you
for
come-
a second. But in the classroom, and you remove a student, where does the student go?
To us. They've been redirected. Yeah, they come to us. And our
So they
staff
have
knows
what
that.
comes out of it. That's what clears out.
Absolutely. Yeah. If the student has been redirected 3 times, or they're doing something that gets to the point to where it's like egregious, we skip it, man. You're out, dude. You gotta go.
So then are we working on a plan, or I guess it's part of this as well, so broader conversation.
Mm-hmm.
With kids that know better in 4th grade versus kids that know better in 11th grade, and just engaging those same conversations over a sixth grade period, a span of 6 years, isn't necessarily the same conversation.
Never is the same conversation. Every situation is different. And so, from my perspective, kids change, parents change, parenting changes, environments change. So kids change based on what's going on in their environment and how they're surviving. So, yes, in context, within some reason of context, the conversation stays the same, but the consequences changes based on the circumstances and what is happening. The conversation with a fourth grader and 11th grader is completely different based on just fundamental maturity, maturation of a kid, and the development of the frontal lobe. And it is egregious. Most fourth grade behaviors are not egregious. They're kids that they lack skills. They are not malicious by intent. 11th graders become malicious by intent. That's a completely different conversation, completely different scenario. So you got to wage that, and you got to be able to deal it with consistency. But the consistent piece of it is that there's a process. You have very clear expectations for the kid. You're transparent about that. It's communicated system-wide, and there are steps that you follow. And if you follow those steps, then there has to be follow-through. Yeah.
I guess broader conversation, what I hear from kids, there's no consequences right now, which I know is still building a program. That behavior still continues, except now the stick version of the carrot and stick is gone. We have a conversation and then go back to the one. The withholding one isn't there. And I guess it'd be part of that broader conversation of, okay, when do we get past the point of talking or moving a teacher from a classroom to make a call to a parent? At what point does it?
We do that every time, Josh. Do that every single time. If a kid comes to our office, their parent is contacted every single time. Every single time we suspend somebody, it's documented. It's not like this environment doesn't suspend kids.
No, I don't care about suspension. Don't suspend anybody. I don't care about that.
Yeah.
I'm talking about when do we take away from the classroom? When we're taking one student who's occupying 90% of the time, especially at that teacher's time, and then moving it on at what point is it truly escalating? And at what point do kids then recognize that there is something going on, which I get, it's a growing program, but still, it seems like we're still in a conversation point that we've been in a while where there's no, what I get from kids, there's no consequence, like there's no detentions, there's no, like, okay.
Does that change behavior? Does detention change behavior?
I would argue it does, yes.
I would argue that it doesn't. And the reason why I say that it doesn't is because there's no redirect of learning why it's important that you change your behavior. It's just time.
So then
time doesn't matter.
How do you have that conversation ahead of time? Like, because of your behavior and where you're going, you're going to go over there for a while and have the detention, have the sit out, have the withholding of something, right? Does it work every time? No. And I get it. There may be a better way to do it.
Sure.
But right now the going theme is nothing's happening.
And I'm getting the same feedback. But I'm trying to take it with a grain of salt from the source.
Absolutely.
But after hearing it, it's kind of making sense that why they're perceiving there's no consequences when somebody's acting out.
I think some of it too. So I have similar feedback, but I'm going to be advocate for Dave for a second. So from what I hear, both sides. I hear the sides that nothing's happening, but then there's an environmental issue at that moment. So these kids are doing something malicious when adults are not present. So then what can we do about that? Because that's where the nothing's happening, is when adults are not present and kids are doing something that is not good and kids are not telling an adult. So then it escalates to a later down the road problem. Now, I totally fully believe when something's happening in the classroom and on the playground, that there are consequences to bad behavior. But what I'm hearing is there's a lot of bad behavior going on when adults are not present, and the kids know that. So they're watching their P's and Q's until they get into a secret place. And now all of a sudden somebody's getting terribly bullied and it's causing tears and drama and all the things, and nothing's happening to kids that are being the bad kids. So I think it's just a work in progress, but also I do believe that there is a serious problem with the kids finding ways to do terrible things to other kids without adults present.
Absolutely. Yeah, absolutely. In every environment I've been involved in, been employed in, been an administrator in 5 different school systems over 27 years or 23 years as an administrator, has that same problem. And the reality is that in an attempt to try to create a culture where people are accepting of one another, and a place where people know that genuine relationships exist in a school system, a place where people feel belonging, they feel like they belong, they feel like they're supported, they feel like they're appreciated, both staff and students, creates an environment where less of that happens. And that's what we've attempted to do through a culture of care here. That, quite frankly, 4 years ago, you couldn't sniff any of this. It was completely out of control. And so we've made some strides with it. But if there is something that is, I always weigh it this way, and this is how I explain it, that unlawful behavior looks different than unfair behavior. Unfair behavior you can teach and you can redirect and that you can work with. If it's egregious enough that it becomes unlawful, like there's harassment, there's bullying behavior, and we know about it, that's unlawful behavior and it won't be tolerated on our watch. And it is not. The problem is there are pieces of that slip under the radar, and that many of them we don't ever know about. And some of it, quite frankly, is that we don't chase rabbits. If it doesn't cross our desk and we have definitive proof and we have somebody with the courage enough to come and report it, we're not going to spend 3 days digging into that, because there are bigger fish to fry in regards to curriculum instruction, in regards to relationship building, and creating a culture where people feel supported. Now, are there components of this that's going on? I hear you, Josh. Yeah, there are. Guarantee it. There are. It's not perfect by any means, but we're working towards creating a culture where less of that stuff rises to the top. And the key to this, and I would say this straight out, even if our staff was in here, consistency from teacher to teacher is one of the largest, most important pieces of running a school-wide system when it comes to behavior. And I still contend that we have an unqualified staff that we are coaching and bringing along. There are many people that don't have licenses. There are classified people that still struggle with communication. This is a work in progress to try to get everybody going the same direction, with all hearts and arrows pointed in the same direction. And quite frankly, there's 52 different personalities with 52 different levels of ability to communicate these things to people. And so that's where Greg and I have worked really hard to try to say, look, when this happens, this needs to be your response. This is why there's a systematic approach to what we do when a kid crosses a line. And Greg and I, in the last couple of weeks, we had some very, and Sherry got the brunt end of it today. She got to listen to me rant a little bit in my office about, I've had my fill by saying that we set the bar this low when we should be setting the bar this high. And we should be challenging our kids, because when we don't challenge our kids consistently across the system, or challenge our parents. I challenged a parent today on the phone too and said, come on, step up. Your kids are not coming to school. How can I support you? Enough talking. Let's fix this. And I'm to the point to where I have my fill with it, because we have put a blueprint out there. And this is the blueprint. When you don't follow the blueprint, it creates inconsistencies and cracks in the system. And as a superintendent, I'm trying to minimize those cracks the best I can, but there will still be pieces of that show up. So, I mean, that's the challenge, right? And this is the goal. The goal is how do we eliminate those cracks? And are there cracks? Sure, there's cracks. Yeah, but I still I still believe wholeheartedly that the absolute best system I've ever been part of is when we as a system and as the adults that are running a school district understand the difference between punishment and consequences. And I'll give you an example. I'm a football coach, okay, I'm a basketball coach. Kids screw up. Did they mean to screw up? Or did they not mean to screw up? Did they want to win? I don't know any kid that goes out for a competitive sport that doesn't want to win. So they're trying. And when they fail, do we pound them on top of the head and tell them you're no good? You got to go run 10 laps? Or do we teach them what they need to do to get better? And I believe from every fiber of my soul that kids do much better systematically when we teach them what they need to do to be successful versus just pound them on the head, go run 10 laps, go do 50 push-ups or whatever it is. And what happens is those kids, they flip through the middle bird and say, I hate this. I don't want to play football anymore. This sucks. This isn't what football's about. This isn't fun. The same way they do it in an academic classroom. I don't have time for you. You're just interrupting the whole class. You're taking extra effort. You know what? Get out of here. Shame them in front of the whole group of kids. Just shame them. You suck. Get out of here. Guess what? When you get in high school, those kids go, that freaking teacher, I can't stand her. I had a 4th grade teacher that used to throw a workbook across the room at me. I hated that woman. And it it set me on a course to prove her wrong. But not every kid was like me. A lot of kids are like, I hate school. I don't want to go back to that. Why would I want to go back to that? So that's the difference between restorative practice of understanding the difference between punishment and consequences. That's the way I explain it. I don't know.
I'm done talking.
Okay. All right. All right.
5.1 wrestle.
Just wanted to tell you that plans are being drawn. The gal, Corey's gal, is working hard on the plans. They should be done here in the next week. She's been out for a month. We got some we've had a few donations from some people, and some grant money. So we're waiting until we kind of get to the threshold of enough money to, dive in and create a plan. We're going to have to submit a plan to the county with the plans that are being drawn. So we're kind of, holding pattern of that right now. So,
Okay, any questions? Okay, second reading, 5.2.1, the IKF AR grad rate. It's like it's been updated. Any comment?
Oh, it's been.
I think we need a motion to accept 5.2.
We do. So moved.
Motion to accept 5.2 for a second. Motion and second. Question to debate. This time we'll start with Mr. Williams.
Yes.
Baker. Mr. Williams.
Yeah.
Mr. Rose. Yeah. And I'm also. 6.1 National FA, we had their presentation. 6.2 first reading of policy BJ purchasing.
So the recommendation, this policy, was updated prior administration, was $5,000, for approval payment of contracts, no more than that. That really isn't realistic for operating. Butte Falls has a 75,000, Goose Creek has a 25,000. Our recommendation would be to at least fund back to $50,000.
So this would be for what kind of purchase?
To enter into anything large we bring to you knowingly, but if we have to come and actually get a motion of approval, we may have a business system update to move to the cloud. There may be $10,000 worth of costs. If it's to be covered within a budget appropriations, You know, can we move forward with that? 5,000 just is minimal.
That's not.
What is the deal with that?
But this isn't necessarily credit card material. This is any purchasing.
No. No, this is actually entering into, you know, kind of payment on contracts. So. So,
It's giving us the authority to.
so even like bringing in certain speakers, that can run over $5,000. You know, we can't, I mean, just to operate, to bring that for approval every time to the board. If we have grant funding for that, if we have it covered, we need to update and have the authorization in policy to match what we're doing right now.
Is there a reason to have a dollar amount versus you brought up like supplemental budget, right? Supplemental budget is at 10% of whatever the budget amount is for that service. Is it better to have a percentage base in here where it falls under, if it's short of a supplemental budget, we don't need to know about it?
Rogue River's languages is if it's within budget appropriations.
Yeah, then that becomes an administrative function, not us, because we've already set the budget.
Right.
And then anything, I believe the boss says anything 10% movement of the budget between 10% has to come to a supplemental budget anyway, and that gets to us. But that's the big ticket purchase items that you know would come through anyway. So, do you want a dollar amount, or do you want to keep it within the supplemental budgets?
That's completely up to you. Again, this amount was, you know, the board at that time, administration at that time, and they want it very tight. You know, that was several years ago and it just needs updated. So it's really, like I said, you know, the communication, you guys know what's going on. Most of the time, if it's significant anyways, we're gonna get board approval. But for day-to-day items.
Hey, they're the one that's coming on campus and there's brand new.
Yeah.
Generator on that. Where'd that thing come from? So I guess the recommendation is what?
My recommendation would be $50,000.
$50,000. And I don't mind that. That makes sense.
I don't see why we just can't do the blanket within appropriations, because there's already a clause in here that says that the business manager is going to review all purchases within current budget appropriations, and we're already going to be evaluating the budget on an annual basis anyway. So I don't.
Purchase, we get the monthly purchase.
And anything that's significant, we're coming to you anyways.
Right. Yeah, I don't think we need to put a number on it because there might be something, I mean, 50,000 seems like a lot, but what if there's a little something extra that is appropriate to go ahead and expend on, and we don't have the time to call an emergency board meeting or whatever to discuss it. So I'd say we trust our business manager enough with our superintendent and our admin to make some decisions as long as we're approving the budget.
So then the edit that we would have would be the superintendent designated is authorized to enter into approved payment on all contracts obligating the district funds not to exceed current budget appropriations. And strike 5,000 through.
And then also paragraph 3, I think we probably need to change that one too a little bit because it just.
Yeah, so stop, so exceed. So we strike from the dollar sign through within. So it have not to exceed current budget appropriation. And then the third paragraph, you're saying the third paragraph or the fourth paragraph?
Third. I think that's probably, because it probably needs to be changed a little bit. So no obligation may be incurred by any officer or employee of the board unless the expenditure has been authorized in the budget by board action, board policy.
Yeah, that would stay the same.
Oh, wait, so never mind. I read it wrong. Oh, yeah. Yeah.
But that one would stay the same, right? Because that's budget, that's system issues that the district has. That nothing over $100 can be spent without somebody signing off on something. So they can't go out and spend $300 for no reason.
Right. So then you're on the superintendent.
Yeah. So that makes sense. And then the paragraph after the change is still there. It says we'll still approve all the collective bargaining agreements and service contracts. Okay.
Ray, do you have any issues with that?
I do, but they're not worthy of consideration. I'm worried that you give somebody the authorization to spend up to a budget amount. let's say the budget amount is $100,000. You give somebody the right to write out a check for $99,000 and they disappear. I mean, nobody's known that they've done it until everything reconciles at the end of a month. And then all of a sudden you got a budget category with $1,000 left and you got an employee out there that's in Jamaica.
I would hope
Those kind of things in Prospect won't happen. So I'm not worried about that. And Sherry's on top of things pretty hard. So somebody would be in pretty serious trouble if they tried. And so I don't worry about it a lot, but that's the authorization you give them. And the worry I've got, I was on a board in Wyoming, Southwest Wyoming Rehabilitation Center, and the chief financial officer was embezzling money. And I had to go through and approve checks. I started seeing checks out there to him for amounts that he could not justify to me as to why. What are you spending it on? And when I brought it to the Secretary of State, the Attorney General for the state of Wyoming, it wound up that some high individuals at that administration were terminated. And it was because they were embezzling. So you can get yourself caught up in something if you're not careful. I don't think we've got the same problem here, but they were working on a like $6 million a month budget. So it's a lot different. You just kind of open a possibility of a door that prospect you'll never see, but I don't have any problem with it. I don't think Sherry would allow something like that to happen to us.
Well, and I think there's so many, just kind of working here and having to ask for money. There's a lot of process to get $1 from Sherry.
Oh, I know. That's what I mean.
She's really good at her job. Right, exactly. That's my point. So nobody's gonna get away with anything as long as Sherry's in charge.
I know. I already walked with a limp before I met Sherry.
Whether it's 50,000 or something larger, I mean, it's still money, and don't matter if it's $13 or if it's $130,000. You know, we have the same processes that are involved, and you have our word. Plus.
I know.
Just write a
like
check.
I said,
Oh,
I don't worry about prospect.
Finders on everything.
The importance of hiring a good superintendent.
Yeah. Which you
I'm just afraid we'll be putting out a bunch of money for a bunch of black looking cows.
Okay. So if we're all in consensus on that, then we'll see the updated policy next month. 6.3 senior trip.
Yeah, there's a little flyer there on the seniors who want to go to Silverwood overnight trip, and by policy, they need board approval to leave the state.
Can they do this last year? Oh, yeah, 2 years ago.
Where are they going?
Silverwood, Coeur d'Alene.
Oh, okay.
So then we need a motion to approve 6.
So approved or so made.
So Ray, there's a second. Second. The motion second to approve senior class going to Silverwood, May 15th to the 17th. Any other questions or debate? Then we will start with Ms. Baker. Yes. Ms. Williams. Yes. Mr. Rose. Yes. I am voting yes to Mr. Williams.
And yes.
Upcoming dates, we have basketball games, wrestling, no school, and then more basketball games, parent night, and the next school board.
The archery thing's not on here. The archery, the first archery competition on the 20th. Yeah, I haven't got it then. On the school calendar. Oh, that sucks. But they got met.
What's the date of it?
Zach sent it out on Sports to You. The 24th. January 24th. January 24th.
Maybe us can just share.
I think it's at St. Mary's. Like it's
we
a-
haven't got the schedule at all yet.
Oh, great. Yeah, no, he sent it out in sports to you. That's their first competition at St. Mary's on the 24th.
Where's the wrestling? At Rogue River High School. I think it starts at 10 o'clock.
It's a fun all day event. Wrestling's one of those sports.
With that, at 8:18, we'll adjourn the meeting.
Awesome. Thanks for being here.
Well, you guys have a nice evening. Thanks for letting me join in.
Good to see you, Ray, man.
All right, you guys take care.